Welcome back to the Realtor Diaries. My name is Elijah McGowan with the Jacoby team at Century 21 Select Real Estate. And with me is my co-host, Kim Jacoby, also of the Jacoby team at Century 21.
We are your Northern California go-to real estate agents. And if you have a real estate story to share, we would love for you to submit it. You can type it up and email it to us at the Realtor Diaries Podcast at gmail.com. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
Today's topic is how the house really sells. And there's a lot around like how every house sells. Like everyone is a very human and unique experience, but there's kind of a general guideline.
Yeah.
I have 1 year of experience. I have one listing on the market right now. And, it sells how it sells, kind of, is how it feels. But that's not entirely true. So I have a land listing right now.
Yes.
And those, I kind of never know because there was a few that were similar that sold pretty quickly in the spring market. And we've been sitting for a little while.
Yeah.
So you never really know how it's going, but we have good photos and I feel like we're leaving a pretty good first impression. So I think we're doing okay.
Yeah. Well, things that affect the sale of a property, whether it's land or home or mobile home or condo, is going to be interest rates.
Yep.
Major world things happening.
The forces we can't control is what you're describing.
Insurance right now is a major deal.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Especially in Butte County. You would say that half of Butte County is in a high or very high fire zone.
What was it? Maybe you told me the stat recently, but they added millions of acres.
1.6 million acres California fire. They added to the high fire zone.
And 80% of new development is being built in high fire zones. Yep.
Yeah. So
it doesn't help with the insurance situation. It's another kind of, I would call it extraneous impact on how the house sells.
And we are going to have a podcast on the topic of insurance here in the near future. So that'll be an interesting one to catch. But so besides interest rates, world events, insurance that affect whether or not a home will sell, we've got other factors like, is it turnkey? Is it in a neighborhood? So the way I always try to describe it to my sellers is like, okay, we don't really know who's out there this very moment who is ready, willing, and able to purchase. There's not a way to take a survey or find out that exact number and exactly what they're all looking for.
You have to do it like right in the morning every day, and you have to catch all of them.
There's just no way to
it's
know.
Impossible.
And so, but what we as professionals know, what in general. So in general, here's an example. Okay, a 1-story home is going to have a larger pool of buyers than a 2-story home.
Yep.
Why is that? Because not everyone can climb stairs.
True.
Right?
And even that is to say that, in like a specific market, it might be that there is one person in the 2-story home pool and no one in the 1-story home pool.
Yeah,
well, that's
probably not.
That's an unlikely scenario.
Yeah, no.
But
no. Yeah, let's see. Another scenario would be that there's probably more buyers out there who have more than 2 people in the group of people that will be living in the home, right? In the household. Thank you. And so they're going to want more than 1 bedroom and 1 bathroom. So that means that homes with 2 bathrooms are going to be more desirable because more people, you're going to have a larger pool of buyers who'd be able to live in a home with 2 bathrooms.
Yeah. And like all of these factors are to say that it could take more or less time to sell your home at a certain price.
That's right.
Yep. And depending on how it's portrayed. One example is we were going to buy a home. We had our price range and it was pretty perfect for a manufactured home in Magalia, and it just fit their situation. They were able to buy there. And so we're looking at these manufactured homes, and we come to one that's been on the market for nearly 200 days. Like, it's been on for a really
It's a
long time.
Yeah.
And and we come to find out this was near the end of escrow because it was owner occupied. So sometimes we were able to talk to the seller, and I was always like, I'm going to not talk to the seller just because that's probably the most professional thing to do right now.
Yeah.
But just from hearing conversations, I learned that until like when we started looking at the property, it was just him and I think his dog, and he couldn't leave the house really easily.
Oh yeah.
And so he wanted to sell and move, but people were uncomfortable going to showings because he would have to be there and different factors. And so it was just a factor of the sale. And so it hadn't been shown until like basically we came in.
Wow.
And we were their offer.
Yeah.
And that was wild to learn in the end, because it was interesting that there weren't really any price reductions, but it seemed like a really good price.
Yeah.
It was a very new manufactured home with solar.
Right.
And we just ended up being there at the right place at the right time.
Yep.
And
well, that's, where like professionals like us understand that if you want to sell a home, you have to make it available and easy to show.
Yeah.
Because that's a perfect example.
Like, you have to make it easy to buy. And
yeah,
you know what? I think his son and daughter-in-law were able to move in and help him out with some stuff. Like, and it sounded like it wasn't going to be like for a long time, but they just had a moment where they were transitioning somewhere. And so they were able, like, they just went on a walk while we were able to see the house.
Oh, nice.
We got to see the house, and they were like, oh, we love the house. And it was lucky for my buyer because it had, like, if someone in the area had seen it, like, they would have known it was a great deal and probably would have sold. But because they weren't able to see it, really bad deal for the seller, unfortunately, because no one was able to see their home. But that's just one more factor. If it's easy
to show,
you want to make it easy to buy. Weirdly, like, you want, like, of course, it's an expensive and like harrowing process, I would say. But the easier your house is to buy, the sooner it will sell. Generally,
that's right. Yeah, because I mean, home buyers already have to jump through 50 hoops to buy a house, you know, especially if you're getting a loan. And if they have to get like, oh, you can only see this home on Saturdays between 1 and 3, that's, what if they work every Saturday? Then that's going to limit that buyer from being a potential for that home. But another thing that limits people from buying homes, and so makes the buyer pool smaller, is if there's needs to be work done to the home. Because not every buyer is handy, right? So they can't do it themselves.
Not everyone knows like a trusted friend or handyman.
Yeah, or maybe they're spending every dime they have to buy the home.
True.
You know, like people will save up for years and years to come up with the tens of thousands of dollars it takes for their down payment and their loan costs. And I mean, generally it costs a buyer 3% in closing costs plus their down payment. So if they're putting 5% down, for example, that's 8% of the home price is going to be added on to their out of pocket.
Yep. And in our current world, it could be the case where they might need to consider paying their own realtor, which is a whole other cost.
I know. Yes. So that'd be another 2.5, 3, whatever percent that is negotiated upon and agreed upon between that realtor and the buyer.
Yeah. And the general case is that is not what happens, but you have to take it in consideration because you are agreeing to pay them.
Yeah.
And so it's just another thing to take into consideration. Right. Another cost.
Yes. And so in general, like we at the Jacoby team, we always, if our seller's home is like nearly perfect in the eyes of a buyer, right, turnkey, then we will suggest things for them to do if they're able to before putting it on the market. For example,
well, I mean, very recently, we had a dialogue where we went to a vacant house, and Emmett and Kim, my team leads, like went seller and agent around the house and made a punch list.
Yeah.
And in hindsight, we've actually done that. And on the drive back, Emmett was saying like he wished I could be like a fly on the wall because he was going to do the same thing that day.
Yeah.
But I've done that with you.
Yes. Yes, with that one that he didn't end up hiring.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And I was definitely drinking a fire hose of information at the time. Yeah. But like thinking back, I was able to remember like, okay, comparing that experience to then Emmett having you as the seller and Mark doing that, going through and being able to see like, okay, like this is some things that a buyer would walk in and notice and discount the house for.
That's right.
And it's like, okay, well, how can we make a better first impression? Well, you should touch up the paint, bring down the cobwebs, like all these different things, which like don't feel like they affect the value, but they actually do. But they do.
Yes. Yeah. Emmett has a really great analogy that he likes to share. So say a buyer walks into a bathroom and, you know, we're not talking quartz countertops and super cute modern bathroom, but it's clean and everything works. But let's say that the caulking around the bathtub is black, like moldy black. The buyer's going to see that, and in their mind, they just see work, and they think, "Oh, this is a gut job, $10,000." So I have a story. Yeah. So Emmett was helping some sellers get their home ready for sale, and the sellers worked hard. They had little kids. They worked hard. They did their punch list, but they just didn't get to that caulking because that's like a couple hours of scraping out the caulking. Yeah. That's hard labor, right? And then putting new caulking in. So Emmett went ahead and did it himself, and I took pictures of him. He's like laying in the bathtub, like chipping away at this caulking.
Because you can't get a good angle on a bathtub.
No.
Like at all. You just have to do it.
I tell you, like the difference when that caulking was all shiny and perfect, it was just like, wow, I think you just made the sellers $10,000 just from that little change.
I know. And it's not often that you get to do like that wonderful thing where it's like this one like little change and you save them potentially a ton of money.
Yeah.
But it's really nice when you like just get a key moment like that.
So, I mean, could that house have sold without Emmett doing that? Yeah, but would there potentially have been some concessions the seller might have had to make in price? That we don't know because we don't have a crystal ball. But in our experience, yes.
Yes.
The seller would have had to make some concessions.
Yeah.
Unless there was other things way worse than that.
I can think of like one particular house where the bathroom needs some work and like I can see it. I'm like, okay, like these things need to get done for the bathroom. But like it's functional, it works, and it shouldn't affect the value of the house overly much. But a buyer walking in would say, oh, well, I have to rip up the floor, I have to rip out this old bathtub, the toilet can stay.
Yeah.
I can see it like in my head from both views, which I think is really nice and a good reason to like find a realtor you trust.
Right.
Is like they have helped a buyer probably buy a house very similar to yours and have hopefully at least walked through a house that is being sold that is very similar to yours.
Yeah. So the cleanliness of a home is honestly, in my opinion, my professional opinion, if that home is cleaned very well, and I'm talking down to the windowsill track, the track of the window, the ceiling blade fan.
Like how I clean rentals I move out of, which is, it's a process. It's hard. It's not like super easy.
You cleaned inside every drawer, on every shelf.
Insides and outsides of all the windows, all the shutters,
clean. Yeah. Then that honestly is, I think, the number one thing that a seller could do to help their house sell for more money in a faster amount of time.
Yeah, really.
And then, keeping up on that curb appeal as well. Just keeping the bushes trimmed and the grass mowed and keeping it tidy.
Yeah.
Because you don't want the buyers to walk in and see problems. You want them to walk in and see potential and see the home.
Exactly.
Most buyers don't. I shouldn't use the word potential because you're like, oh, well, if it's dirty, can't they see the potential in it? It just needs to be cleaned. The answer is no. Most buyers can't see through the dirt.
They can't see past it.
They just see problems.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think about staging? if you were a home seller, you know, and you had to make every penny out of that sale of that home, would you be willing to spend $2,000 on staging?
Would I, as a seller, be willing
Yes.
to pay $2,000 on staging?
Like, would it really, if push came to shove, would you do it?
Probably.
Yeah.
Like,
it would hurt, right? You'd feel like it hurt, but
well, as a realtor first, stats show that you're going to make your money back and more. Just like on the statistics, like the staging companies show you, but also on like what you'll see on the end product. On like probably from a personal standpoint, the best way to sell my house is to move out and let people go in and see it in its best form, and then let it sell that way.
Yeah.
And I mean, the like best way to portray your house is as if someone's living there. But if you're not living there, you don't want people all over your stuff. And the staging company is exactly what you need for that.
I know. So I have a story. I had these buyers that they didn't have a ton of money, right? So we had to be pretty picky about the home. They had 2 young daughters, and I showed them maybe like 6 or 7 homes, and they were all vacant.
Okay. Yeah.
No furniture in these homes. And every home, it was, it's just too small. This bedroom is just too small. It's just too small.
Yeah.
So then the last home that I showed them, and the reason it was the last home was because they ended up buying it.
Oh, really?
The last home I showed them was staged. And it was the same exact size as the other homes that I showed them.
Like,
it was not bigger. I had the data.
Like, you know that it wasn't bigger.
And it was because it was staged, they could see that a queen size bed did indeed fit inside that room, and they could walk around it.
Yeah.
But they didn't have the vision to see it when it was empty. They just saw a small room and thought, there's no way our bed's going to fit in here.
I mean, even I've, like, walking through a vacant house, have struggled to see the queen size bed fitting in the bedroom.
Or a king size or whatever, you know. And that's one thing that cracks me up. When buyers walk through a house and like, my dining table's not going to fit in here. I'm like, just buy a new dining table. You know, like, are you that attached to your dining table? You're not going to buy a whole house because of it? I don't know.
I mean, that is interesting. Like, you're making a potentially $600,000 purchase
over a dining table
and say nope.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's an heirloom. You know.
Right.
You never know.
It could be an heirloom.
But I mean, it's probably worth considering getting a new dining table.
Yeah, I'm like, I'll buy you a dining table. I mean, it might be secondhand or no. IKEA.
That's what you might be getting, but
I'm totally joking.
But I mean, that's what some people need to make the decision.
Yeah, I guarantee you, if somebody's complaining about, my dining table doesn't fit in here, that there's other things going on in their head too. Yeah. Because if they love the home, they're gonna buy themselves a new dining table.
Yep.
Yeah.
And sometimes they need staging to love the home.
That's right. Yeah, staging. I mean, we did staging. We offered free staging for our sellers for 5 years.
Brought value.
We had 1,000 square foot warehouse, and we had enough furniture for like 4 houses about by the end. And on weekends, we would load up the kids and rent the U-Haul and stage a house. I kind of had a knack for it, for the decorating, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
And it really, really helped sell our sellers' homes.
Yeah. I have one specific question.
Yeah.
What is your take on partial staging?
I think it's still effective.
Okay.
Yeah, especially if it's, my personal opinion is that if you're going to partially stage, the only thing that you should leave out would be any guest bedrooms. But you're going to want to stage everything else.
Okay,
so when it comes down to it, that's not going to save you very much money.
Penny pinching,
right?
A bit, at least.
Now, is staging the living room only worth it? I don't know. Yeah. I really don't know, because it's like you've got this great living room, but that's only one room in the house.
Yeah.
And kitchens, bathrooms, the master, the size of the bedrooms, all those things, as you know, we're going to take a look at in a couple segments here. We're going to go over some stats in the news. We're going to see those things are the most important things. to buyers.
There's just a lot of considerations. So staging is kind of an all or nothing.
Yeah.
It's just make the choice.
So I would say that if you are thinking of selling, hire a stager. And don't, if you're not a good decorator, and it's not even about being a good decorator. It's about because staging is not decorating.
Yeah.
It's very specific. It's minimalistic. It's picturing the room through the lens of a camera. Because you stage for the photos.
Mm-hmm.
Number one.
Yeah.
Is this going to look good in photos? Yeah, and it has to look in person. That's kind of a given. But
write that one down. I didn't know that one. Write that one down.
Yeah, it has to look good in person, but it has to look good in photos. So, yeah. But yeah, so what really sells a home?
Well, I think I know, but I think our guest has quite a few interesting things to say about how you can sell your home.
Definitely.
We'd like to introduce our special guest for today's episode with 36 years in real estate, including some things he told me not to include. One of his favorite hobbies is chasing down his dinner. He's the person who knows more than your accountant, but is not your accountant. John Wallace. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, John is here. How long have you been with Century 21? And I know that's a complicated question because it probably used to be something else.
I started in Chico in 1991 at Ingram and Shelton, and then Century 21 purchased Ingram and Shelton Realtors at some point in time, probably late 90s.
Yeah. Cool. So you've been really, with the same brokerage your whole career. That's pretty awesome.
Came with the furniture.
Yeah.
There you go. Heck yeah.
So today's episode, it's how does a listing really sell? And as Elijah and I were chatting about this topic, and we already have talked about it, in the first segment of this podcast, are
the kind of general guidelines where that you'll sell based on your price and your first impression, whether that's in person or with photos online. That's kind of where your bread and butter will end up. Is if you have a good price and a good first impression. Yeah.
And so, for our audience who might be checking in on this episode, it's is it marketing is it the price? Is it how the home looks? Is it the condition it's in? Is it location? What really sells a home? And so we brought you in here because you are very experienced at selling homes. When you get a listing, rarely does it expire. So
the answer is all of the above.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So maybe we can kind of cover. So in your experience, let's say you get a house that needs a little bit of work. What do you usually tell your sellers?
I don't recommend they do much to a house at all, except pick up the garbage, clean up the clutter, and sell what they have.
And then your pricing strategy for that house, let's say it's not quite turnkey in the buyer's minds, right? It's going to need new flooring. It's going to need new paint.
Okay.
Cosmetic things.
Price it in.
So price it according to turnkey homes?
No, price it in for the condition it is. So, you have to price it in so that when somebody takes their time, effort, and energy to fix that house up, they're going to look at that property and know that they have additional value if they were to sell it tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You can't price in blue sky. Now, if they need you to fix something,
right,
then that might mean you need to charge a higher price for it because you're actually improving the value of the property for the buyer on the seller's expense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just making sure you're selling what you have, not what you almost the ideal version of it.
Yeah, because that's not what you have.
Yeah.
Right. You have to sell what you have.
And just me interpreting, you almost feel, or you're saying that you should go as far as to price it okay, this is how much it would cost to fix, put that into the price, and the buyer might even gain a little extra value on that fix.
No, it's house is worth $400, fair market listing price. and it needs 10,000 worth of repairs in order to make it livable,
Okay. Yeah.
then you probably want to price that home at 385.
Okay. Yeah.
And that way there are people looking at it will see the value. Now, on top of that, the people who are looking at the home have varying skill levels as to what they can do and or connected to repair materials, tools, labor, and they might see a better deal there than somebody who's going to have to call a local contractor to get everything done.
Very true. Yeah.
I see where you're coming from. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, so condition, we kind of touched on that, but now let's talk about marketing. Sometimes, when we go to a listing appointment, some sellers will say, well, what are you going to do to market my property? And obviously, when you're in a seller's market, maybe you need to do less than when you're in a buyer's market. However, Elijah and I have never been in a buyer's market. And so
It's
No.
true. It's true.
we've never been working as a realtor when it was a buyer's market. So knowing that you have, I mean, is there such thing as marketing that can sell a listing?
Yes,
Okay, what is some of that marketing?
it's all right there.
Yeah.
Call other agents, let them know what you have. Your best client has a real estate license in the community. And if you're not communicating with the other people in the business, then they don't know what's going on with something that you have listed. They don't know why it's priced where it is. They don't know where the value may be in that property. And to do the best service for your seller, you need to be talking to as many agents that will listen to you.
Okay. So, I mean, that goes as far as it's almost like staying top of mind in your realtor community.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Because
Because
the buyer is most likely going to have an agent.
Yeah.
Now, we have a very educated buyer pool.
Yes.
And I think the worst thing you can do is put a information box on your listing, because then they go by, they pick it up, and they say, okay, that's why I don't want to buy it. And they don't want to talk to me. I'm the one that's going to have to market that house. My flyer is not going to market that house.
Right.
So I will not have an information box on my listing.
because all they'll see are reasons not to
They're just
even
looking
consider.
for a reason to not call anybody about it.
Wow. Okay.
So what do you think about, like stats nowadays say that almost 100% of buyers look online for a house, and 80% of them will decide whether or not they even want to see the house based on the photos.
Or based on price. Again, we have the most educated group of buyers we've ever had. They have Zillow, Trulia, they have Zestimates, Truliamets, or whatever.
Yeah.
But the point is, everybody has an idea of what a house is worth. And until they start looking with a realtor and start understanding what things have sold for that are apples to apples, they're going to just discount things instead of actually digging a little deeper.
So what do you think about things like, professional photos, drone shots, twilight shots, 3D tours? Like, what are your thoughts about all that?
I don't think a 3D tour is that valuable. I don't think videos inside the home are that valuable. I would love to have 15 great photos of the inside of a home, and that way I can direct what people are seeing. When you do a video, you're panning along, and not only do you see the underwear in the dirty clothes basket hanging out, and then the dog scratching at the rear end, and now you see a nice fireplace. I would just rather have a photo of the nice fireplace.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, or make sure that if you're doing a video, there's no laundry or dog.
Or toilets open.
Yeah. Yep. There's a lot of
That's
little
fair.
details.
Again, it's having 15, 10 great photos,
Yeah.
because that's what people are going to see, and that's what's going to bring them in.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm okay with a drone shot. You can see where your neighbor's backyards are. in where you're their doors. You might be able to see a giant hole in the roof, but other than that,
Well, people have Google Earth nowadays.
they can do it themselves.
That's
Yeah.
true.
You know, so you're kind of wasting money doing that.
Yeah.
Unless you have a lot, and you're up in the hills.
You wanna
show
see
the
where the creek
boundaries.
is, the
Yeah.
boundaries. That works out great, but in having the fences and whatnot, and when it comes to twilight photos, well, if I got $1 million house and it's got some nice views, well, sure.
There you
Yeah.
Then that would work, but for most homes, it's a nice touch, but I don't know that that sells the house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think I agree that it's in general good to just keep it simple because, like you said, they're basically window shopping as they're going through this online process, and it's almost like they're looking for a reason not to click tour this house or whatever button is on the website. And so if you just give them what you have, great online listing, then they have more reasons to click on it than not, I suppose.
So have you sold houses with out the buyer ever having actually seen the house in person?
Good question.
Repeat that question.
Okay. We'll cut that part
That's
out.
a really good, that's like a perfect cut. I got
Yeah.
that.
Okay. So have you sold a house without the buyer ever having seen the house?
No, I won't do that.
Yeah. It
Mhm.
ends up being most of the time a nightmare. I've actually done it myself once. And I've tried to do it another time, and the lady drove up 6 hours once we got in escrow.
Mm-hmm.
6 hours. The minute she saw where it was, she decided she didn't like the area and
And you wasted
told
all
me to
that
cancel
time.
escrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my first or second year in
And
real
I won't
estate.
take an offer on a house from a person who has not been in the house.
Yeah, because there's no way to really get a sense of how the house feels
Mhm.
and how the neighborhood feels. And if it's somebody who maybe doesn't even know Chico, what if they don't even like Chico when they get here? So and there's just too many.
Yeah. Like
Unknowns.
just based on price and photos, you probably can't get a good feel of where you're going.
You know, and that's why you want to hook up with a good agent.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I was really surprised and I know that stats and the Zillow poll that they do this nationwide, but it was something like 48% of people said they would buy a house sight unseen,
Wow.
which I was
Okay.
surprised by that,
I won't.
really.
No.
I would never do that.
No.
That's a lot of money.
Well, I think it's part of our Gen Z group of people. I mean, they see it on their phone and it's like, oh, great. Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah. Even if like you were an investor, like you want to go see like the thing you are investing in,
Mhm.
you wouldn't want to.
No, it's just, I think it's a great way for you to get burned.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think the three of us are unanimous on that. If you're gonna buy a house, or any kind of property, you wanna put your eyeballs on it in person.
Yes.
And then I guess last question, what's the craziest thing you've ever done to maybe gain attention for a property or try to market a property? Have you ever done any marketing stunts? Like I heard this one time, this one realtor walked from Forest Ranch down to Chico. So that they could get on the news.
So they could have some publicity.
There
Publicity.
you
That
go.
was about the
Realistic.
realtor. That wasn't about the house.
Right.
So, so sometimes when you overprice a property, you can lose the initiative. And once you've lost that initiative, you end up with these small price reductions that just chase it down. And I had a home that was worth probably about $410 to $415, and the owner wanted to price it at $415 because they wanted every penny. And we got a lot of showings, but no offers. And so my advice was to list it at $399. But by then we're 3 weeks into the market,
Mhm.
and we finally dropped the price to $399 and got a bunch more showings and no offers.
Oh.
Really?
So you're
And
doing what we call chasing the
so
dragon's
we
tail.
were chasing it down, and so then I sat down with the owner and made sure that they understood you do not have to respond to an offer, period.
Yeah.
And we priced it at $350. We received, I think, about 9 offers, and we sold it for $412.
That is brilliant.
Whoa.
And that was after almost 2 months on the market.
Wow.
Really?
So yeah, that's,
You have to
That's a great
regain that
strategy.
initiative somehow.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think I remember when you did that. It was
Maybe.
like the talk of the MLS. It was like,
I don't think so.
did you see that? It's $350. Yeah, no, I mean, in a good way. Like people were, you said,
Well,
you
you
got
have,
9
to
offers.
you have to have it in your heart to be able to do that as
Yeah.
an agent and know your stuff. And you have to be able to take that confidence to your seller.
Yeah, like you
Yeah.
knew that what the house was worth,
Mhm.
but you had to get it back to that level to, like you said, gain.
Let the market
Yeah,
determine the value.
Yep.
You could price a home for $1
yeah,
and then put in the remarks, we will open offers in 3 weeks. And I'll bet you sell it for more than you could have ever sold it for if you tried to price it right.
I hope one day to find someone who's willing to try that.
I know,
one.
right? Yeah.
But I'm serious. They do that with foreclosures.
That's true.
When you go to those auction sites,
Yeah.
they don't have a price on that. They have some ridiculously low price
Yep.
Yeah.
And
because it's an
sometimes
auction. So what you can do is create your own auction just
Yeah.
by pricing it at $350.
would you like to talk about seller financing?
Love to, because not a lot of people do it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'd love to hear a little about seller
Let's
financing.
just explain what is seller finance. I mean, it pretty much defines itself in the title, but
Mhm.
pretend that
You
someone's
become
never.
the bank, basically.
Yeah, that's
And
my
so you have to have
understanding
some
of it.
prerequisites with the property, how much you owe against it, whether you own it free and clear. And you have to have the fact that you don't need the money from the sale all at a lump sum.
Mhm.
And I find I do more seller financing with investment property, especially when it's been in the owner's name for a while. They've depreciated it out. It's gone way up in value. You've got a lot of capital gain. And now they just do not want to have another rental property.
Yeah.
And those are the easy ones. And so you put it on the market, like today's interest rates in non-owner loans are probably 7.25%, I think.
Mhm.
And so what I've been doing, so far, I think I've closed 3 or 4 of them in the last 10 months, where we'll put it out there for a price with a 30-year mortgage due in 8 or 10 years with a interest rate of 5%.
Yeah.
Now we don't have to worry about anybody refinancing that because they can't get that rate
Yeah, they're just not going to
anywhere else.
Right.
And we get a good, 20, 30% down. So the down payment is your loan qualifier. If you don't make the first payment, you foreclose on them, take the property back, sell it again, you keep every penny that they gave you.
Oh, okay.
I've had situations where commercial property where a buyer goes to buy something, and this is recent, and they couldn't come up with a down payment because they were going to borrow it against the property they were moving out of that they owned free and clear. So what we did was we went ahead and took a first on the property they were leaving.
So you kind of like became the bank twice.
Well, we gave them basically a straight up loan
Oh, okay. Yeah.
for the part of the down payment. They brought in a portion of the down payment to cover the commissions and the closing costs.
Mhm.
And then we also have a first on the property they're moving into. And so we're making 6% on the down payment money on a 24-month interest only loan. And we'll end up at 5.5% for 10 years. And that's a double exchange into that piece of property. So with the interest income that you're making on that property, you're basically taking some of that capital gain hit out of the equation over time.
And that's the seller perspective. On the buyer perspective, they're getting a great rate.
Buyer's perspective is there's no appraisals, no loan fees, no points, no costs.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No
because it's not a
APRs,
traditional lender.
nothing.
Right.
And they're getting a good rate, and they're getting a good rate for a reason.
Yeah.
Because they have cash. to put
Guarantees.
out,
Yep.
And they have a credit score.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Fair.
So,
Yeah, it's a great way to make some passive income for a seller.
for a seller, it is.
Yeah, if they just don't want to deal with being, in that.
And if
Property
you can,
anymore.
And you can look at that with a $400,000. Let's say you bought a rental for $70,000, 25 years ago.
Mhm.
Well, you sell it for $400,000 today. You're gonna have a capital gain tax. It'll probably be north of $150,000.
Yeah.
Big hit.
Over 10 years at 5%, you're gonna make $167,000.
Yeah.
So you basically erase the capital gain cost and you turn a $400,000 sale into a $560,000 sale.
And that's a great option for people who don't want to like, they could sell that property and then exchange into something else, but maybe they're just done.
They're done.
Yeah.
They don't want to exchange into something else.
So have you, like, in your career ever had another time where it made sense to have a number of seller financing deals similar to these years?
I think it always makes sense.
Oh,
It's
okay.
just sometimes realtors go through a career where you start and you're dealing with first-time home buyers.
Mhm.
You're dealing with entry level. You're dealing with first-time investors. As you go through the years, they get older just like you do.
Mm-hmm.
And so it comes a time when they're getting to the point where they're either ready to cash out or they're ready to exchange into something they might want to move into down the road in another state,
Mhm.
or they're just tired. And that seller financing just makes a great opportunity for somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
And then you can take a house and you'll sell it for more money than you would getting a loan on it.
Yeah.
Can sell a home in inferior condition for more money.
Yeah.
Because there's not as much money coming out of pocket.
Doesn't
like
cost
loan
the
fees
buyer.
and costs.
Yeah.
okay.
So it's a great thing.
Yeah. That's awesome.
That's really cool.
I've never written up a seller financing deal. I know Emmett has a few times,
Mhm.
but man, that form is pages and pages long, and it's intimidating.
I think
But
it's
we
really
know who to
cool.
call when we need
It's
help.
not that
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you
was
for
awesome.
sharing.
nice to join you.
Yeah. All right. Stay tuned for the news. And now it's time for the news. So today we have some juicy statistics.
Yes. Lots of numbers that I didn't know existed
Yeah.
until Kim pointed me in the right direction, and I'm very happy to have them in front of me now.
So every year, Zillow does a poll, some kind of a survey with buyers and sellers
Nationwide, right? Or
Yes.
United States nationwide.
nationwide. And they, what you call that when you publish? They publish the results in a separate seller and buyer report. And so because we're talking about what really sells a listing,
Mhm.
there were some really cool stats that we felt that would play right along nicely with this topic.
Yeah. I'll mostly be just reading from this, but I flipped through and found some pretty interesting stuff. And even the conversation with John, like, sometimes our instincts might not quite reflect like what could be selling the house, I guess.
Right?
Like first,
Well,
like
You want
3D
to tell
tours.
them what it is? That one is yours.
So
is
that
going
was
over.
specifically about 3D tours. I think in his segment we were talking about like taking videos specifically, which maybe I still kind of agree with him on that. But here, 2024 stat, 70% of buyers agreed or somewhat agreed that 3D tours would help them get a better feel for the space, and 62% wished more listings had 3D tours in them.
Right, and a 3D tour, in case you've never experienced it, you're sitting there at your computer and you're looking at the house for sale online. You click the little 3D, it says like a 3 and then the letter D.
Yep.
And then you're able to like go in and like literally walk through the house as if you were walking through with like glasses, right? And you could see,
Yeah.
you could turn and look, and it's really neat.
It's reminiscent of how Google Maps works to me.
It is like
Because-
the street view.
Yeah, and you can like click on the floor and it
Yeah.
takes you to that spot on the floor. You can look around the house.
It's probably the same technology.
Yeah, likely, yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen
Matterport.
when I was in Ukiah, I did some like computer science studying, and I feel like in every class there was always one guy who had one of those 3D cameras, or like a teacher, and they had one, and they would like show you what they did with it. It's really cool.
Yeah.
But the last stat considering 3D tours is that only 27% of people preferred 3D tours over in-person viewings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I can't believe there would be anyone who would
Yeah, I know,
prefer
right?
a 3D tour over in person, but I guess.
I mean, in 2023, it was 40% would prefer a 3D tour to in person.
Yeah, well, that was closer to COVID.
Mhm.
Probably the closer you go back to COVID, the more that would be.
Yeah, it peaked in 2023
Yeah,
at 40%.
because it kind of became the norm by then.
Yep.
Yeah,
And then everyone went back to wanting to see it in person.
yeah,
But I mean, you should view, like you said, you should never buy sight unseen.
right.
Even with a 3D tour, like you gotta feel it.
Yeah.
Because if you've never been to Chico, you don't know how hot it is.
Right. Well, the other thing you have there in your hand is a list of different features of a home that buyers find to be very important or somewhat important.
Yes.
I'm dying to hear some of that list.
Okay. I think I'll just go through the 2024 ones.
Yeah.
Unless they're like crazily different. And
Yeah.
then I'll go over both. And so, well, I'll go for 2023 and 2024 if they're crazy different. 83% said it was important to have air conditioning. 79% considered that the homes they were seeing were within their initial budget. I find that an interesting one.
Yeah, that means that 21% didn't mind that it was maybe a little more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, that was my first time my ex-husband and I ever bought a home. That was our experience. We had set a budget, but then when we actually started shopping and looking, the reality hit us that we're going to have to pay more.
Gotcha. So maybe that means that like people are a little more prepared for what the housing market has in store. 73% felt that the homes they were seeing had a preferred number of bedrooms. 70% felt that it was in the like their preferred square footage or size.
The size of the home.
Yeah. 70%. Now I don't quite understand the phrasing. Oh, okay. They considered it important that the property had outdoor space, like a patio, a deck, or yard.
Yes.
It's like a place to enjoy the outdoors on their property.
Okay.
That was 70% of people.
So you're telling me that so far we've got air conditioning being number one.
Yeah. This is in sequential order
Right.
for 2024 stats.
And then in their budget with this proper number of bedrooms, the size they want, and it's got to have a backyard.
Yeah.
Or some kind of outdoor space. Okay, continue.
69% had a floor plan that fit their preferences, which, oddly enough, with having been a year in real estate, floor plan isn't really my like largest concern. I feel like when I'm looking at a house anymore.
Yeah, I think to the general public, and maybe you guys can comment and tell me if we're right about that or what your thoughts are on what floor plan means to you. But that's like open floor plan versus a bunch of individual rooms, or split floor plan where the master's on one side and the kids' bedrooms are on the other.
Oh, I see.
Or those are just concerns that
like the broader layout of the house.
Yeah.
I can see. I've had buyers with specific needs where like if they need two masters, they're like, what masters on opposite sides of the house, like multi-generational style living.
Exactly.
68% thought it was important to have good potential to increase the value of the home they bought.
Yes. Okay, that makes sense.
Yep.
So like if they are buying at the peak of the market and the market goes down, are they in a neighborhood or an area where it's not going to go down too much?
Yeah.
And it can recover easily.
And perhaps even like fixer-uppers and other like value increase ads that are fairly simple, like older houses, fixer-uppers, that kind of thing. Interestingly enough, knowing that this is like reading this, preferred utilities like gas and electric, I'm surprised that's not further up on the list.
What is it at?
So it's at 67% of people considered it important that their home had their preferred utilities like gas and electric. So maybe the context of the question is like either or both kind of thing. But I would consider it very important that your home had electricity.
I kind of think that it's probably in regards to is it an all electric house, or does it have natural gas versus propane?
Yeah, all either or both. That's what I was.
And I bet you internet connection is part of that.
Oh, like somewhere in here?
Yeah, in that question. Like, does it have capability of connecting to the internet? Of course, nowadays we got the string of satellites flying around the earth.
Yeah, so it's fairly simple.
What is that called again?
It's oh my gosh, we should know this.
You may have to cut this part out. But,
I know.
Okay, what's his name?
Well,
Tesla guy.
It's Elon Musk.
Elon Musk.
He owns
Starlink.
Starlink?
Oh my gosh.
You did it.
So Starlink has brought the internet to those folks who live out in the boonies.
Yeah.
It is
And
still
I
expensive.
notice now it says preferred utilities, and
True.
I heard that as having
Any.
utilities
Yeah,
there.
no,
It's
prefer.
like no, like that it
Yeah.
has gas instead of propane, that
Right.
it has electric stove maybe instead of gas stove, that kind of
Yeah.
thing. Okay. After utilities has the preferred number of bathrooms. The average home bought was a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath
Oh,
in
interesting.
2024, to my knowledge.
Hmm.
And so that's generally what people are looking for. That's just the average. Had ample storage, 65%, right after preferred number of bathrooms. Offered off-street parking or a garage,
Mm-hmm.
65% as well. And then had an ensuite or master bathroom, 65% as well.
So,
And so that was a list of 3, 65%, fairly even, that it has storage, some kind of parking situation, like off-street parking situation, and had an
Interesting.
ensuite bathroom.
So continuing on down the list, we see that these are kind of in a ranking order.
Mm-hmm.
Just start reading off the categories to us
Okay,
from here on out.
let's do it. We have a pretty big jump, but that it was energy efficient, which I think California has, I mean, not only recently, but in the past, has implemented laws that require them to be more and more energy efficient, even including solar in some communities.
Yes.
Had a spare or guest bedroom, equally as important. Slightly less important is having the preferred style of kitchen. I don't know much about like galley style versus open concept kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Well, they say kitchens and bathrooms sell a home. And
Yeah.
right there, you said number of bathrooms was important to people.
Mm-hmm.
And then the style of kitchen, I think that includes probably upgrades, like
Oh, you think so?
Corian countertops versus quartz, for example.
Fair. Had preferred finishes for countertops
Oh, there you
appliances
go.
right
That
after
was the
that.
next one.
Yeah, preferred style in my mind, like I was
Galley,
saying,
like you said.
galley versus open concept versus
Yes.
other things. Like my girlfriend would want a sink that faces an outgoing window.
Yeah.
It's very important.
Yep.
Offered me my own assigned parking place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you think of like condos and things.
Exactly. Had smart home capabilities. At this point, we're at things that I would consider not particularly important.
So what kind of percentages are we looking at?
So we just went below 50%. Oh, having your own parking space was at 55%. We jumped all the way to 36%. Consider it important to have smart home capabilities. Offered a shared community amenities. So we're looking more at like community, condo, maybe manufactured home park kind of things. Opportunity to rent out the entire home in the future to produce rental income. 32% of people consider that important. Had a hot tub or pool, and then finally, the opportunity to rent out a portion of the home while living there was the least important in this particular category. So that category was characteristics for homes that they considered important or very important.
Yeah, and most of those are things that you can't easily change.
True. Yeah.
Right. I mean, the kitchen, you can upgrade a kitchen, but it's expensive.
Yeah.
But like adding a bathroom, building on another bathroom, that's a big deal.
Yep.
Adding another room.
Bringing utilities, even if it's from the street to your house, can be expensive.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting. Those are really cool statistics.
We might go over a couple more, but I'm interested in what you have over there.
Yeah. So mine is kind of more touching on a number of different topics. So what really makes a home sell?
Okay.
We have to consider that most buyers get a loan to buy a house.
Yeah.
And so, in fact, when you get a loan, it has to be up to a certain standard. Banks aren't going to loan on a house that's fallen apart. And so it has to pass appraisal.
Yep, after 2008, things are very standardized.
Yeah. And so about 2/3 of buyers, 66% of them, say that their the final offer that they made was contingent on the property passing a home inspection. And half of them said that it was contingent on them successfully receiving financing. So, and then it's over 2/3, it says finance with a mortgage. So honestly, those kind of don't agree with each other, don't they?
That's interesting. So about half, it was contingent on them closing on a loan specifically.
Yeah.
Like being able to get the loan. But how many got a mortgage?
70% of home buyers in 2024 got a mortgage. Now, one thing that
Mhm.
isn't explained in these statistics, if only half the people were contingent on getting an appraisal,
Yeah.
right? There have been a lot of times where appraisals have been waived.
Many times, yeah.
You know, like, I don't know if it equals 50%,
Yeah.
but does it equal 20%? Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that 50%, that was about appraisals, or is that about the loan?
So of all buyers questioned,
Okay, thanks for repeating.
yeah, cash, maybe we can start this one over. So interestingly enough, all buyers, including cash buyers,
Mhm.
70% of them last year got a loan in order to buy their house.
Okay.
But only 52% of all buyers
Mhm.
made their home contingent on an appraisal.
So
that means that 18% of
We're
the
getting a
buyers that
loan.
got a loan but didn't care if they got an appraisal or not.
Oh, interesting.
Or they cared, but they didn't make it
Yeah.
contingent. And one factor to mention is maybe they weren't worried about the appraisal because A, they were putting so much cash down as a down
Mhm.
payment that it didn't matter to them if it appraised a little low.
Yeah.
Or B, their appraisal was waived altogether because there was enough proof that, they were going to be able to finance that home.
And I heard of that happening quite a bit in 2024, like quite a few waived appraisals.
Yeah. So how we bring that back to our topic is sometimes when a seller is choosing the price,
Mhm.
with your listing agent, there can be some concern with, is my house going to appraise?
Yeah,
For
for the
this
price that they're
buyer.
asking.
Well, we have taken a few more risks in the last 5 years with
Wow.
home prices because that fear of appraisal was like not as strong
Yeah.
because
And-
so many times it was combated with, okay, well, it was waived, or putting so much cash down that it doesn't matter.
Mhm. They can make a stronger offer.
Yeah.
Easier to sell the house.
Right. So that's where we're at kind of still, I would say. One interesting thing I found in my stats as well was that, let's see here, 52% of mortgage buyers
Mhm.
put down 20% or more.
Oh, wow.
So if we're talking about,
Yeah.
let's call it a $400,000 house,
Mhm.
that is, 1% is $4,000.
So 20% is $80,000.
80 grand.
That's
And that's just the down payment. That's not the closing costs.
Yep, that's the cash they are bringing just for the down payment.
That's 52% of buyers.
Wow. Yeah.
And the average home price in our area is about about 500,000. So people are going around with tens of thousands of dollars in cash.
Yeah. When they're looking around.
Right. So one thing that we have to remember is that some buyers are also sellers,
Mm-hmm.
right? Not every buyer is coming from a rental to buying their first home.
Yeah. Do you have?
Yeah,
the
I have
number?
that stat.
Awesome.
In 2024, the percentage of sellers that also purchased a home
Mhm.
was 54%.
That's lower than I thought.
You want to hear this crazy thing? It is quite a bit lower. In fact, in 2022,
Mm-hmm.
probably before interest rates went up,
Mm-hmm.
because they started going up in 2022 in June, 71% of home sellers were also buyers. So in a matter of 2 years, that went down by 17%.
So when it used to be that like 7 people would sell their house, go buy a new one.
Yeah.
Now 2 of those people would sell their house and then move into a rental.
They would move into, and I have those, they would either move into a home they already owned.
Oh, interesting.
That was a high percentage of the sellers who didn't buy.
Yeah.
Right. or they would move into with a family member.
Hmm.
And then, as those percentages go down, there was even 1% that moved into a hotel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So you get different living situations, but
Right.
those more common ones, like moving in with family or having already owned something, that's very interesting.
Yes. And so I think that bringing all of this in together to make a point
Hmm.
is that what really sells your listing, you got to keep in mind that there is a percentage out there who are selling a home so that they can buy a new home. And what are the things they're looking for? Those home sellers who are going to repurchase, well, they're doing that because they either want to upgrade. In fact, 56% of those, they upgraded in price.
Okay. Yeah.
32% of them downgraded, and 12% of them just side graded.
Okay, so it's either moving up or moving down.
Yeah,
for the most part.
And people think that, people are leaving California by the hundreds of millions. Nope. Most sellers stay local. 58% of the sellers reported moving to the same zip code where
Hey.
they sold.
Yeah, I believe it. Because 32%, 30-something% of them were just were downsizing.
Yeah, only about 1 in 6 moved to a different state. 15%. And among sellers that moved to a different state, they moved to California or Florida. Those were the most common destinations.
Wow, most immigrated states.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So these Zillow reports are very interesting, and if you like to read about stats and things like that, just message us and we'll send you the reports. You could try Googling them, but we'll be happy to send them to you as well.
Absolutely. And I think that brings us to the end.
Yeah.
We could talk for hours about
I know.
interesting stats, but definitely if you are trying to up your game maybe and take a look at these stats and make decisions based on them, definitely let us know and we'll send it over to you. But I think that's all for today. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Realtor Diaries.